Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
1, 2, 3, move it.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You just heard from Cody Williams. We're going to talk a little Utah Mammoth hockey coming up here momentarily. I did think one of the things that was interesting, if you didn't catch his postgame, which I don't blame you, it was midnight on New Year's Day. He said the name he'd been watching. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, watch his brother and see if you can become that. The player who the Jazz have pulled video of for him to watch, I'm curious how many remember this name, is Corey Brewer. Corey Brewer on those Florida national championship teams, played in the NBA for 12 years. Super thin, really skinny, but made a real career, even not being able to shoot, just being a good defensive player and slasher. And Cody talked about watching Corey Brewer. I thought that was fascinating. All right, let's welcome in our next guest. You can catch him on all the Utah Mammoth broadcasts. It's our friend Nick Olczyk. What's going on, Nick?
Ben, Happy New Year, my friend. Hope you had a very happy holidays along with all of our great listeners out there. It's an exciting time of the year for a lot of reasons around the Mammoth, and a big announcement today with the U.S. Olympic hockey team. So a lot going on, but hopefully everybody's out there enjoying their holidays and wishing everyone a very happy New Year.
Life is good. I mean that sincerely, and I appreciate you joining us to kick off 2026. Well, let's start with Clayton Keller. I'm trying to get a sense still of give me some context on how big it is to have an American player representing Team USA, and that this has not been something we've been able to do in the NHL since, 2014 was the last time NHL players were competing in the Olympics. Yeah,
it's been a dozen years. So first of all, credit to the National Hockey League players, the National Hockey League owners, Commissioner Gary Bettman, as well as the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, for coming together, first of all, and making sure that the very best players in the world who are the players in the NHL are allowed and able to play in the Olympics. And I'm not sure if you know this, Ben, but back in the 1984 Olympics, the year, or I should say the Olympics after the Miracle on Ice in 1980, my dad made that Olympic team as the youngest player that year at 16 years old. Now, back then was when it was amateurs only, so there were not professional players playing for Team USA. But just coming at it and looking at it from that point of view is, whether it was my dad playing on that Olympic team or other World Championship teams, the honor and the privilege, the gratitude, and the feeling of immense responsibility to represent your country, no matter the sport, no matter the country, there are not many things that can top that. And so when Clayton Keller got that call this morning from General Manager Bill Guerin, the video was released from USA Hockey and the Utah Mammoth, and you just saw the smile on Clayton's face, and you can only imagine the emotion going through him, his family. Considering that he was not chosen to represent Team USA for the Four Nations face-off. He ended up having a wonderful year the rest of last year, and then this year has been great. And also, too, I think what played a big role in his selection, aside from just what he can bring as a player, he went and represented Team USA at the World Championships this last summer and brought a gold medal to the United States for the first time in 92 years. So players that choose to be part of those tournaments, they are asked, and they can either accept or decline. I think that does play a big role when it comes time to representing their country in the Olympic Games, and if they are picked or not. And oh, by the way, Captain Clayton Keller for the Mammoth was also the captain for Team USA at the World Championships this last summer. So very rewarding call for him this morning. Extremely well-deserved, considering what Clayton has done not only in the National Hockey League and this season, but for what he's done for Team USA his whole life, his whole career. And excited to see how that plans out come February.
You know him far better than most people, I would assume, just because of how close you are to the team. How do you think he's going to handle this? He's so reserved. He seems like a bit of an introvert. He's a pretty quiet person. But do you think this decision was weighing on him? We know it's been a very difficult year for him personally. What do you think this is going to do for him emotionally?
Yeah, and Ben, I think you bring up a great point. And for those that don't know, I think about a month ago, maybe a little bit longer than a month, but Clayton lost his father unexpectedly, and an unbelievably massive loss in one's life to lose your father. And I think during times of loss, during times of grief, sometimes the ice is the most comfortable place, and his play, despite how he may have been feeling and probably was feeling during the grieving process, and I'm sure still to this day, his play didn't drop. If anything, I think certain areas of his game he even took to another level. And so considering everything that he's gone through this year, I give him a ton of credit for staying on the horse and continuing to trot ahead. I think the reserved part of his personality, it kind of reminds me of like, when you were back in school. It's like sometimes it's like the quiet kid's the one you got to be worried about, right? Like because he's usually the guy that can come out of the woodwork and make something happen. And so, with his teammates, he's there's laughter, there's joking. Of course, he does have a really nice personality, though. Maybe in the public eye or in the media, he's a bit reserved, but when he's around his buddies, he certainly opens up a lot and turns into a really bright kid, with friends and whatnot. But look, I mean, he's been one of the more highly touted players and American players his whole career. So I think with that comes a certain element of wanting to protect yourself from the outer world. While yes, it is important to show personality, no question. Sometimes these guys that grow up in the limelight and are in the spotlight, they attack it. And I don't know this for sure, but just trying to, from as many players as I've seen and players that I've talked to, sometimes they just err on the side of, okay, I'm just not really going to give much because I don't want to possibly do something or say something that could become a headline and go from there. But no, I think this means the world to Clayton Keller. And all you got to do is go on social media today and look up that video where the general manager of Team USA, Bill Guerin, called him, and the smile says everything. I mean, he's beaming from ear to ear, and I think that says more than any words could. So congratulations to him and to his family. And when you make the NHL, it takes a village to get you there: coaches, teammates, mentors, family. And I think you could absolutely say the same when you do get selected of the very best players in your entire country. Let's just paint that picture really quick. Like the best players in all of the United States. Clayton Keller is considered one of them, and a very well-deserved honor for him to represent the United States in February over in Italy.
Now you've seen the roster. You've seen some of the rosters trickle out entirely, Canada, et cetera. How does Team USA stack up?
I like the team. And look, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to and have questioned some of the players that did not make it. One in particular being Jason Robertson, who has the most goals and points of any American in the last calendar year. There's certainly something to be said for his offensive production. But with guys like Brock Nelson and Vincent Trocheck, guys that maybe aren't top point producers, but are going to fill holes and needs that you need throughout an Olympic tournament. You need guys that can go out and check and can kill the clock and can be reliable to make a play when something is needed to be made. And that's not even talking offense. It's when you need to go out and shut down the opposition, when you need to shut down Connor McDavid. I think other guys that maybe are going to be players that people talk about that didn't make it. A guy like a Cole Caulfield, who may be undersized, but is a great goal scorer. Alex DeBrincat fits in that same umbrella. And then some of the new players that did make it, very exciting. Of course, we mentioned Clayton Keller. How about Seth Jones? He was not a part of Team USA at the Four Nations face-off, but a guy that plays 24, 25 minutes a night and has great size playing for the Florida Panthers in the NHL. And great to see Tage Thompson making it as well. He was part of the team on the World Championship team this past summer who helped the United States win their first gold medal in a long, long time. And you want to talk about a guy that has the size to be able to grind it out, but also the unbelievable ability to shoot the puck. He is an excellent flank player in terms of looking for a one-timer. At one point in his career, shot the puck 104 miles an hour, so that'll certainly help. And great hands in tight spaces. And if these games do become a grind, which I think they will, with his size and the skill in tight areas, I think Tage Thompson will be a guy that really will excel and thrive in those areas. But I think when you look at Team USA, Ben, I look at the defense and the goaltending. I think that's where they really have a massive upper hand on other teams. You look at the defense core. Jacob Slavin, one of the most underrated defensemen in the league. And if the Norris Trophy for the best defenseman in the National Hockey League was given to truly the best defenseman, which I do hope one year there will be the best defensive defenseman and then the best offensive defenseman, because a guy like Cale Makar is going to win that many, many years. But I think Jacob Slavin is one of the best, if not the best, defensive defensemen in the entire league. He'll play a huge role. Brock Faber on the team as well. You could go down the list. But the goaltending, that's, I think, where USA can separate themselves from everybody else. Jake Ottinger, Connor Hellebuck, and Jeremy Swayman, that's the same three they took to the Four Nations face-off last year. Those guys are studs, some of the very best in the league. And so hopefully a guy like Connor Hellebuck can continue to perform well and be even better in high-pressured games. So I like their chances. I am Team USA all the way. Biased, yes, being an American kid. But I think just when you look at the team, I do think they have enough skill, but they've also got some guys lower in the lineup who are going to be able to go out there and check the opposition and try to make sure that the other team's offensive players don't get any looks on a consistent basis.
Yesterday's game was terrific. It was really fun to watch. Nice to see them build a 3-1 lead and then a 5-1 lead and really coast to an easy 7-2 victory. Obviously, Dylan Guenther played a huge role recording his first hat trick. What did you see, and what do you hope that's something they can build off of? Speaking
of hat tricks, Ben, do you know the team in the National Hockey League that has the most hat tricks on their team?
I did. I was listening. I was watching the game, and I thought, well, now Cooley has one. Guenther has one.
And that was a 4-goal game, by the way, as you know.
Schmaltzy has one. Or does Cooley have two this year? Because he had the true hat trick in the first period, and then he had a 4-goal game. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah.
Cooley has two, and did Schmaltz have one?
Yep. Four hat tricks.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's very cool to watch this team. When they explode, they seem unstoppable.
And I think last game was an example of special teams playing a huge role. Okay, so first period, the first 10 minutes was a steamroll by the New York Islanders. So let's give so much credit to the guy in goal, Karel Vejmelka. His first game back off injured reserve. He had missed 2 games, and he was tested early and often from high-danger areas. The Islanders had 8 turnover scoring chances in the first period alone, and it ended up being 0-0 after 1. If not for Karel Vejmelka, that very well could have been 2 or 3-0 in the first 10 minutes of the game. So first off, let's give a boatload of credit to the guy in goal. But I do think towards the end of that first period, the Mammoth had a power play opportunity when the shots at that time were 10-0 in favor of the Islanders. But I think that power play, to both units' credit, allowed Utah to settle into the game. It allowed them to get back to their offensive game that was really lacking in terms of puck movement and puck support and a willingness to get that black biscuit towards the net. And I think that really began to get some momentum on their side and allow them to get back to their game. Though they didn't score on that power play, I think it was the reset, it was the stopgap, it was plugging the hole in the boat that was taking on some water that they undoubtedly needed. And then once you get to the second period, then the offensive explosion. And I love, Ben, how you mentioned going from 3-1 to 5-1. They didn't sit back. Especially when they got into that third period, they continued to push ahead. And let's also not forget the other part of the special teams, the penalty kill. They killed off a double minor when it was 3-1 because of the high sticking call that that drew some blood from Callum Ritchie of the New York Islanders. So that was a huge situation in that game as well, because all of a sudden the Islanders get one there. Okay, now it's a 3-2 game. They got even more hope and even more life that they can come back in the game. But credit to Utah, the PK came up large, and then the offensive eruption continued on to build on the lead that they had. And Dylan Guenther scoring 3 different ways. A beautiful goal for his first one, where he accepted the puck in the D zone when exploding through the middle of the ice and delivered a shot that not many others in the world can, through traffic, and beaten David Riddick clean. And the other way he scored his other goals as well, with not only great body positioning and skill, but different areas of shooting at the net. The one-timer, and then, of course, his third being a 5-hole shot as well. So, he's the type of guy that is continuing to grow. He's continuing to evolve his game. But the last thing I will say on that is, for Guenther in particular, he mentioned coming into this season that he wanted to score different ways this year. He wanted to get to the inside more. Well, last game was a great example of that, and hopefully he can build off of what has been a great season for him so far. A guy I think should reach the 40-goal mark by the time we hit 82 games. Also
want to tip of the cap to Olli Mata, who's going to be representing Team Finland in the Olympics as well.
Absolutely.
Not just Clayton Keller.
Absolutely, and two, whenever everything else continues on to get announced, I mean, there's no doubt that Karel Vejmelka will be representing Team Czechia, and so great to have some Olympians represented here for the Utah Mammoth, very well deserved, and hopefully those guys can go over, perform well, and come back and get ready for an excellent end to the NHL's regular season.
Nick, Happy New Year. Enjoy another couple of good games we got coming up here right on the horizon, including these afternoon games, which I love about the NHL.
And the Winter Classic tonight. Don't miss it. Winter Classic tonight on TNT outside in Miami at the Miami Marlins baseball stadium. You got the New York Rangers and taking on the Florida Panthers. So that should be a wonderful time of the year. It's the marquee event. It is the Super Bowl of the regular season in the National Hockey League. So anybody who's never seen hockey played outside in a baseball stadium, make sure you tune in 6 o'clock on TNT. That's the Winter Classic.
Excited for us to get hours in the coming years, and knowing Ryan Smith the way I do, I suspect his ambition will bring one to Utah before too long.
I couldn't agree more. And Happy New Year to you, Ben, and everybody there, and all the great listeners out there.
All right, Nick, thanks.
Anytime.
There he is, Nick Olczyk, giving us a great breakdown on the U.S. Olympic team. Clayton Keller being picked to represent the country in Italy. Very, very cool moment, and then a great win yesterday from the Utah Mammoth. All right, we'll wrap up the week. Coming up next, stick around. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.